Anyways, let's get into Epstein and the pedogate information. So a German model has been missing for 11 years, and the Epstein files just gave her family the first trace of her. The woman, identified only as Michelle, vanished from her family home at 2015 at age 22 and has never been heard from since. When the DOJ released the Epstein files, her name surfaced in messages from Daniel Said, a model recruiter who she worked for in Dubai, who sent Epstein her photo in 2014 and pitched her as the girl you missed from Germany, and adding, "You will love her." Her story is grim even before the files. Her father says she admitted working for Sayad as an escort. An ex-partner described constant abusive calls, and she'd been planning rehab and a fresh start with her family when she disappeared without warning. Sayad is now under investigation in France for allegedly helping Epstein traffic and abuse women, which he denies. Here's her father's plea. "It's so important to us that we find her again, no matter the situation." A girl pitched to Epstein in 2014, gone in 2015. 11 years of silence since. And there she is on the left of the photo. And she's not the only one. Like when I talked to the air traffic controller at St. Thomas Airport, they talked about how Epstein would fly in all types of girls to the island. They were obviously underage, but the flight manifest would always list them at like 21, 22 years old. But it was a one-way thing. Like all these girls would come in on the plane. They'd all go out to the island from the plane at the airport. And then when Epstein would leave, he wouldn't be taking them all back to the plane and flying back with like the same number of people. It's a simple mathematics problem. There's a lot more people going to the island and almost no one going back out of the island. So what happened to the vast majority of these victims? You know, we've heard like Virginia Giuffre and Maria Farmer, but there's so many more victims that you've never heard anything from, right? How many of them never left the island alive? A lot. So it's not just human trafficking and all this kind of stuff. There's literal murder going on for sure. Like it's just a simple math problem, right? But, you know, let's wear his quarter zip and, you know, act like, you know, it's edgy to be like Epstein. It's so ridiculous.
In his eyes as he asked
Bill Gates, here's another one that's like a huge piece of news, is Bill Gates's connection to Epstein. And this is, you know, one of the major things because our entire US government and all of our critical infrastructure systems run on Microsoft, right? All the power plants, all of the fuel facilities, our military, all of this stuff. The FBI stores all of its data in the cloud Azure, right? Which is in Israel, by the way. So all of your FBI data is over in Israel. We are majorly compromised by this company named Microsoft. And Bill Gates was the president CEO of Microsoft for a very long time. And during that time, he was being, you know, compromised by this Epstein ring. And now he's answering questions for that, but we're still not separating our government from this Microsoft crap, right? They're forcing everyone that's in like defense and everybody else to use Microsoft, even though it's completely compromised by a foreign country. And if it was Italy or, you know, Croatia doing this, I'd be having the same issue. If like the Epstein ring was an Italian mobster operation to blackmail people like Bill Gates so that we would put all of our Microsoft cloud data centers in Italy, I would have the same issue with this as it being in Israel. It has nothing to do with, you know, the J word. What it has to do with is the fact that this foreign country is infiltrating us and allowing spies from Russia and China to infiltrate the U.S. networks via this type of compromise.
Gates had tears in his eyes as he asked Epstein to delete messages referencing an STD and explicit personal details about his penis. Gates had tears in his eyes as he asked Epstein to delete messages referencing an STD and explicit personal details about his penis.
Oh, Bill Gates having a tough time out there, everybody. Here's another interesting thing about the whole Epstein case is Epstein's death was posted on 4chan before major news outlets had the story. The post appeared at 8:16 a.m. on August 10th, 2019, claiming Epstein had died from hanging and cardiac arrest. The Associated Press reported his death at 8:54 a.m., 38 minutes later. The thread included medical handoff language, the kind a paramedic might use, and the original poster disappeared after several messages. A second user in the thread was later tied by subpoena to Roberto Grijalva, a lieutenant at the prison where Epstein died, while the first user has still never been publicly identified. Okay.
Jeffrey Epstein was reported dead in 2019, the following post was made on 4chan. Don't ask me how I know, but Epstein died an hour ago from hanging. Cardiac arrest. Screen cap this. That post on 4chan is the first post publicly announcing the death of Jeffrey Epstein before all the news media. Somebody inside the jail made that post. By the way, Jeffrey Epstein, the financier and convicted sex offender who, at the time of that post, was awaiting federal trafficking trial when he was found dead in his Manhattan jail cell. The funny little post went up at 8:16 in the morning on August 10th, 2019 and was posted by a user with the auto-generated 4chan handle RPTND1SI, and attached to the post was a pixel art image of Wart from Super Mario Bros. 2. All of it was posted on 4chan's politically incorrect board, Poll. Now, Epstein was found unresponsive in his cell around 6:30 a.m. And the first major news outlet, the Associated Press, reported the death at 8:54 a.m. The 4chan post went up at 8:16, 38 minutes before any news outlet on the planet had the story. In the thread on 4chan, there were 6 posts from the original poster. Posted in those posts was medical handoff language, the kind a paramedic would use when transferring a patient to a hospital, not exactly the kind a guard or a layperson would type. After those 6 posts, the OP of the thread vanished. A second user, Swam8WIF, posted in the same thread that a body double had been swapped in, which is crazy to say. Now, eventually, a Citibank subpoena would reveal the identity of this second user, Swam. It's crazy that banks can have records that can be subpoenaed that will tie your username in. That's pretty wild. The second user was a fellow by the name of Roberto Grijalva, a lieutenant at the prison where Epstein died. The first user, the one who posted the death itself, has never been identified. It's been 7 years almost, 5 federal subpoenas, no name still. What most people don't know is that Epstein had a documented personal relationship with 4chan. He met the founder. He was a lurker. He emailed Peter Thiel, the PayPal co-founder and possible antichrist, about using sites like
don't worry, Peter Thiel is getting big time mention tonight. There's been some big time releases about Peter Thiel.
4chan to take over modern democracy, which is hilarious. And the board that Epstein's death was first announced publicly on launched within days of a meeting that Epstein took in 2011, a connection that the inventor of 4chan Moot denies, but the timing is very interesting to say the least. In October of 2011, Boris Nikolic, a venture capital advisor who would later be named as a secondary executor of Epstein's will, met Christopher Poole, the 23-year-old anonymous founder of 4chan who went by the handle Moot at an unknown tech event in New York. Nikolic, for his part, claimed to have no idea why Epstein had named him in the will at all, which I believe that. I've been in so many wills, especially from extremely rich people, guys. Nikolic was also a direct advisor to Bill Gates, and I believe he was aware of that position. From the 2025 release of the Epstein files, we now know that Bill Gates and Epstein had a friendship, a controversial, sexually transmitted disease-ridden.
Yeah, so that's a good breakdown of it right there. And you can see Epstein just came out recently. He wanted to take down Trump, right? Jeffrey Epstein was obsessed with trying to take down Trump before suicide, report says, which is not surprising because Trump was one of the people that got into a real estate argument with him and then kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. Child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein tried to dig up dirt on President Trump in a desperate bid for leniency in the days leading up to his suicide, but was unable to deliver anything of substance, according to a report. Epstein became fixated on the president after he was arrested in 2019, as his lawyers tried to hammer out a deal with the prosecutors if the disgraced financier could provide helpful information about other defendants, according to the New York Times. During his many marathon meetings with his parade of lawyers while he was locked up in federal jail in Lower Manhattan, Epstein often had his nose buried in a legal pad scrawling disjointed one-liners about the commander-in-chief, such as Trump is a total con artist, smoke and mirrors, and never had money. You can see here, there's a whole thing with the connection of Trump and Epstein and all that kind of stuff. There's even a viewing room where you can go see all the connections. Trump had the weird modeling thing going on as well. So, then Courtney Love, who's one of these people that we've talked about in the past, she was connected to Epstein. She was in the Black Book, obviously. She was one of the only names circled in the Black Book. She's friends with people like, the leader of the lead song singer of Audio Slave, who committed suicide. His wife, she was good friends with her, and that guy committed suicide in a way. Chris Cornell, Vicky Cornell, the wife of Chris Cornell. Courtney Love was huge friends with her, and Chris Cornell was obviously murdered. He couldn't have committed suicide. And obviously, Courtney Love's husband, the lead singer of, Kurt Cobain, oh God, fuck me, is the lead singer of, why am I drawing a blank on the name of that band? Doesn't matter. Kurt Cobain obviously didn't commit suicide either. And you can see Courtney Love was dating this dude, Brett Ratner, circa 2006. One of many connections that likely landed her in Epstein's Black Book. In 2017, numerous women in Hollywood came forward with allegations of sexual misconduct. Nirvana. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I knew the chat was listening. In 2017, numerous women in Hollywood came forward with allegations of sexual misconduct, sexual assault, or harassment against Ratner. He has not produced a film in Hollywood since then, and he emigrated to Israel in 2023. And you can see here, Melania Trump's documentary producer, Brent Ratner, same guy, with John Luke Burnell, Grok unredacted this photo. So there you go. There's this dude, Brett Ratner, with John Luke Burnell there on the left, and there he is with Epstein on the right. Obviously, big-time scumbag, and he was Melania Trump's documentary producer. Yeah, the Lincoln Park ties. Chester Bennington committed suicide the exact same type of way as Chris Cornell, and there's all that as well. And Cornell and Chester Bennington were making that documentary about exposing child trafficking in Eastern Europe in the same areas that has now been proven that Epstein was taking young girls from. So was Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington going to be exposing in a documentary the stuff about how Epstein was taking girls out of Eastern European countries? Probably, right? And this all ties back again, that whole like Eastern Bloc thing, to Erica Kirk, who was in that area at that time doing charity work in the same country. It's insane, obviously. It's like we're in some sort of simulation or something. So Barrett Brown out there has been putting out some really good information. He's a great journalist if you don't know who he is. He was one of the guys back with Anonymous back in the day. Sounds like Jeremy Hammond will have some serious questions to answer next time your buddies at DDoS Secrets let him speak in public. And here you can see Barrett B's associate and criminal co-conspirator Hector Monsiger. That was that piece of shit that was an FBI informant, Hector Monsegur, who tried to ruin Anonymous from the inside. Total piece of shit. He went by the name Sabu. Was potentially hired by Epstein. The hacker turned FBI informant snitched out the Anonymous hacking collective when it became a threat to power. Barrett Brown also makes an appearance in the files. But I don't think Barrett Brown was involved with any of this stuff. I think he was just being, tied into it because that fucking piece of shit Hector Monsegur was probably working with Epstein, both being FBI informants, right? There's court documents proving Jeffrey Epstein was an FBI informant, and there's plenty of evidence to show that Hector Monsegur was an FBI informant. Ari Emanuel, one of these people that's all tied in with the Israelis. And these guys, the Emanuel brothers, you can find them influencing both sides of politics. There's guys on the right-wing side. There's guys on the left-wing side of politics. And that's how you know all politicians are just fake. There is no actual sides, right? It's all a bunch of BS that is just a big psyop to keep us fighting with each other instead of identifying the problem, which is central bankers and these elites that run all this stuff. And, the people that were behind, like financing Epstein's Island, like Les Wexner, these people never face justice, right? These big time bankers at like Deutsche Bank, at JP Morgan Chase, all these guys that financed, allowed the money to move around. None of them ever get held accountable. None of them ever go to jail. They overprinted our money supply, and now no one can even afford groceries. Gas is now $1 million a gallon. It's all ridiculous. And the average person is who suffers, not the bankers. The bankers just make more and more money. The more money they print, the more money they can loan, the more interest they make. And it's just a never-ending cycle downward for the rest of us. So Ian Carroll states here, UFC is owned by Ari Emanuel, the son of Benjamin Emanuel, an actual Israeli terrorist. His IMG agency supplied models to Epstein's Jean-Luc Brunel. Trump's White House 250th anniversary event is sponsored by literal Israeli terrorists and Epstein associates. Lovely, right?
Wondered who owns the UFC? You better buckle up for this. I'm just going to read very mainstream sources, and I'm going to let you fill in the blanks. And don't worry, it won't be hard to do. So in case we're not clear, we're talking about the UFC, the biggest mixed martial arts fighting promotion in the world. They're owned by TKO Group Holdings, which is owned by Endeavor Group Holdings. And the CEO of TKO Group is Ari Emanuel. And he is also the CEO of Endeavor, the bigger company, along with Patrick Whitesell, the executive chairman. But I guess his name is probably pronounced Ari Emanuel because it's Jewish, not Mexican. His father, Jerusalem-born Benjamin Emanuel, was a pediatrician who was in the Irgun, a Zionist paramilitary group that operated in mandatory Palestine during the 30s and 40s. And just to clarify, paramilitary group means terrorist organization. And just to clarify, that is not my definition or Hamas's definition or Palestinians' definitions. That is literally the Israeli government's definition. In 1948, they outlawed the Irgun and Lehi groups, declaring them terrorist organizations. Basically, everyone inside and outside of Jewish worlds called them terrorists and strongly condemned them. Here's a list of the bombings that they were responsible for. So anyways, his dad was a Zionist terrorist from back when Israel was being formed. And now he runs the UFC. Well, he owns the UFC. Dana White runs it. But that is just the start of this. Because he has two brothers. This one was Obama's White House chief of staff after years in senior positions in the Clinton administration. But there's another one. This one works at the Center for American Progress, the Wharton School, Harvard, and the NIH. But don't worry, the deep state is not real. Oh yeah, and President Joe Biden named him one of the 16 members of the COVID-19 advisory board. All three of those guys, their dad was an Israeli terrorist that even the Israeli government outlawed because their terrorist acts were so fucked up. Like bombing civilians. Literally. But wait, there's more. Because both Ari and his buddy Patrick, who are in charge of that other whole organization in charge of the UFC, they are also both in charge of IMG. They are co-CEOs. IMG is like a sports and media company. They have a whole entertainment and modeling division, including Miss Teen USA, Miss Universe. What does that remind me of? Yeah, you remember Epstein's pimp, Jean-Luc Brunel, who hung himself right before Epstein was all coming out? He allegedly procured more than 1,000 women and girls for Epstein. One of IMG's top representatives described him as a coked out misogynistic pig from day one. Whew. Thank goodness. I'm glad that IMG is not involved with Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, except for this article where a bunch of survivors told their stories, and this one said that she worked for IMG. She told IMG what he was doing to her over in France or wherever she was, and IMG was like, oh, that's cool, whatever, no problem. And then they continued to send girls to him. Yeah, so IMG worked with him. And IMG doesn't just do modeling. No. Here is all the sports leagues and events that they work with. There's the UFC. They do modeling, consulting, events, like the Premier League, the highest level of English football, like the PGA of America, like the United States Tennis Association. They've got figure skating. They got motorsports. Shit, they've even got the world's strongest man in the US Open of surfing. Are you getting the picture yet? These three brothers, whose dad was a Zionist terrorist, have been top dogs at the Clinton White House, the Obama White House, the Biden COVID response. They control the UFC, a huge...
Like I said, they're on both sides of politics, and they're absolutely disgusting human beings. So he nailed that breakdown very well. Another guy who's connected to the Epstein ring was this JF Garepi dude. And you can see here, JF Garepi, hey, where's your wife? Right? I don't know if you guys know who JF Garepi is, but he's this very weird French guy. Let me see if I can pull up this thing here. There he is.
Of the regular chat, someone was saying, Ryan was saying she just wanted to use her skills as a rugged Canadian tomgirl to help Tate fix a leak.
He's one of these French Frere Jacques bullshit fucking artists. This stupid French accent and all that shit. And he blocked me as well. You can go over here and see. You can block me, but you can't hide there, JF Garepi. So here, JF Garepi has blocked you. Yes. Okay. Too bad. Anyways, where's his wife? This lady he dropped off in the woods has been missing now for, I don't know, 2 years or something. And I copied in the RMCPD to this. I was like, hey, any updates on this, by the way? Dude drops his wife off in the woods, never to be seen from again. Oh, she's James Bond, he said. And here is Hollywood all involved in all this kind of stuff. Diddy, Epstein, all these things. 2003, Diddy invites a 12-year-old DeVay Chase to an after party. And we all know about Diddy's parties now. Don't give your kids to Hollywood, rest in peace. And you're like, who is DeVay Chase? Well, if you have children like I do, you've heard her voice as Lilo from Lilo and Stitch, right? She played Samara Morgan in The Ring and other things like that. Here she is at the age of 12 being invited to a Diddy after party.
So good, you're doing so good.
I just want to say, everyone.
party tonight.
Sick, disgusting Hollywood. And then you have it. So, like, and the reason I'm showing this is when you have the elites doing this stuff, what happens is it trickles down to all levels of society. So you find it in entertainment, you find it at local levels, local politicians, and you find it like with those gay couples adopting babies. When you don't hold the highest, most elite people responsible for these types of crimes, then this type of behavior trickles down into the rest of society. And then you have shit like this going on. Washington State government employee Daryl Doggs, Kitsap County Auditor's Office, caught trying to link up with a 13-year-old girl. His wife, Leslie Doggs, works at Bremerton High School, as well as Bremerton Sitting Councilwoman. And it's insane how many people involved in the school system in the last couple of years have been caught doing this stuff. How come there isn't, like, the exposure of this the way there was, oh, you know, the Catholic Church thing, right? Every priest in the Catholic Church is a pedo, all this stuff. But somehow these high school teachers are all getting a pass, even though they've been caught way more times than any Catholic priest has. And I'm not giving the Catholic priests a pass on this. I'm not a Catholic. You know, those, you know, pedo priests can get fucked. But what I'm trying to point out is, like, why isn't there this stigma about high school teachers and, you know, teachers in the school system when they've been caught a million more times than any priest has ever been caught? Right? I mean, isn't it kind of interesting?
We just talked to Daryl Doggs. He decided to not talk to us. But Daryl Doggs works for Kitsap County government in the auditor's office. And his wife, who aids and abets his pedophilia, Leslie Doggs. We're putting this on record. Sue the shit out of us if it's untrue, guys, which is not obviously untrue. Aids and abets him. Leslie works at Renaissance High School in Bremerton. She is currently a city council lady in Bremerton, and she had no problem with any of the accusations we were bringing forth to her and to him. So Daryl was communicating with who he thought was a 13-year-old girl online. He used the name D. Campbell, an alias, but where he fucked up was he literally showed a photo wearing a t-shirt with his last name on it, and he was obviously showing his face. And he sent pictures to the 13-year-old decoy that were not on the internet at all, not limited to his freaking crotch. And
so there you go. I mean, these people are sick, obviously. Did I forget to put, I think I might have forgot to put the blank check thing in there. Someone asked about it. I retweeted it. I can find it real quick if you guys want. Just pull it up really quickly. Shouldn't take me too long. The blank check movie. It was absolutely insane. I saw that movie blank. Here it is. I saw this movie Blank Check like a bunch of times when I was a kid, and I never realized. Right? It's just like one of those movies you watch and you're like, oh yeah, I love Blank Check. Didn't realize any of this was in the movie until I saw this the other day, and I was like, oh yeah. So this is another example of how this stuff trickles down into all of society when, you know, you don't expect it to, obviously, in situations like this, like a kid's movie. But when you don't hold the elite accountable, they put this stuff in plain sight all over the place.
The movie came out in 1994, and it follows the story of an 11-year-old boy named Preston. Preston, just messing around, writes himself a check for $1 million. And when he goes to cash it, it's confused with a criminal enterprise, and he gets the $1 million. And he spends it on a whole bunch of stuff, like a private driver, and technology, and a castle. Got a lot for $1 million in the 90s. And then we have Shay. Shay works for the FBI, and she's been following the money trail, and it leads right up to Preston. Preston asks Shay on a couple dates, And she says, yes.
It was really fun. And I had such a good time.
I don't like that. No. Eventually, Shay cracks the case and the criminals are exposed. And Preston learns that she works for the FBI, but he still tries to shoot his shot.
So when can I see you again, Shay? Why don't you give me a call and say about 10 years? 5. 7. 6. Okay. It's a date.
So he's 11. That's still illegal, babe. Now, I know Shay works for the FBI, but I think her coworkers need to check her hard drive.
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck is that? That's in a kid's movie? How did I not realize that watching that growing up? So weird. Call me in 6 years. So